Hi, so today's little sequence is one more for kind of hips and lower back, so getting us mobile and moving. So let's start off on our mat. We're going to place the big toes together, the knees wide, and we're just going to sink down into a child's pose. So just relaxing here and breathing for a little bit. If it's not comfortable for your knees like this, you can always roll something up and place it in between the calves and the thighs to take the pressure off the knees. And the arms can either be by the head or down by the feet, whatever's comfortable for you. And just take a few moments here to breathe. Breathing in and out of the nose. Starting to find the flow of your breath. And just bringing your awareness into your body and your awareness onto the mat. Allowing the in-breath and the out-breath to be the same length. And letting the breath gently flow in and out of the nose. Just take a couple more breaths here. And then let's slowly make our way up onto our knees. Placing our hands underneath our shoulders, our knees are underneath the hips, we're going to pull the navel in. And then let's breathe in as we hollow the spine and look up. Breathe out as we arch the spine and drop the head. And we're going to continue going from one direction to the other. And really feel you're starting the movement here at the lower back. Feel that we're really arching from the bottom. And as we hollow the spine, we're trying to create movement in the lower back. So think that we're trying to create space in between the vertebrae to lengthen. Nice and gently allowing the spine to move. Freeing it up. Just do another couple. And then the next time the spine is rounded, let's stay there, really pushing up between the shoulder blades, trying to create space in between the shoulder blades, giving the head a little shake so we release the neck. And then let's go the other way, sticking the bottom out, lifting the chin up, creating stretch this way. And then we're going to come back into a neutral spine, and we're going to take our right leg, step it to the front of the mat, place the hands on the ground. So we're trying to open the front of the thigh. If that's not comfortable for the hands, you can just place your fists on the ground like that. Or if you want to go a little bit lower, you can come down onto your elbows if that's comfortable. But otherwise we just stay here and try to really lengthen the front of this left hip, and we'll also get a bit of a release into the right. And then we can raise the right arm so we twist. This is one of my favourite poses for just really opening so much of the body and lengthening it. And then let's place that hand back down, bring the knee back, and then we take the other leg forward. You can do it keeping the hands on the ground, or if it's easier, you can come up onto your knees, step that foot forward, and then lean into it. So again, we're really opening up into the front of this thigh. Especially if we spend a lot of time sitting, cycling, running, this muscle at the front of the thigh can get, front of the hip, can get really tight. So this can cause problems with our spine. So it's really important that we lengthen this. And then let's raise the left arm. Get a lovely stretch here. Always feels so good. And then release the hand back down. Come back up onto all fours. And we're going to come into a downward dog. So we really stretch the spine out. So for this first one, let's bend the knees, push the belly towards the thighs. So you really want to lengthen from the heel of the hands all the way up to the crease of the hips. Let the head come through the arms and really lengthen that spine. You might also get a bit of a release into the ankles if they're a little bit tight. Couple of breaths here. And then come up onto the toes. Let's let one heel drop down. Lift that up, let the other one. So just releasing into the back of the legs a little bit more. Couple of breaths here. And then let's walk our feet to the front of the mat and we're going to dangle. So the feet are at hip width, the knees are bent. So whatever's available for you to place your belly onto your thighs and just hold onto the elbows. So it's kind of pulling our body down towards the ground. And the reason we're bending the knees is so we can really release into the lower back. So we're taking a bit of the pressure off the hamstrings. And we just breathe here. You might want to gently sway from side to side. That can feel nice. But allow that lower back to lengthen. Allow the crown of the head to lengthen down towards the ground. Tension coming out of the body. And then let's release the hands down. Gently restacking all the way up. We're going to reach the arms up, interlock the fingers, lean to one side. So I'm leaning to my right, and as I do, I'm going to take my left foot behind my right leg, so I really get that stretch all down the side of the body. Release back to centre, and then lean over to the left side and take the right leg behind the left leg to get that stretch all down the side of the body. Then release, come back to centre, lower the arms down. We'll do a couple of sun salutations just for a little bit of movement. So breathe in, reach up, look up at the hands. Breathing out, hinging forward. So we're hinging from the hips, we're bending the knees, we're allowing the neck to lengthen as we look up towards the belly button. And then we come up onto our fingertips, look forward, lengthen the spine. Then we place the hands on the mat, step all the way to the back. Now let's just engage the core for a moment. Just find that nice strong plank, ever so slightly rounding the shoulders, pulling the navel in. Couple of breaths here, just to activate the abdominals, pulling them in. And then dropping onto the knees, lower the chest all the way to the floor, keeping the elbows tucked into the side of the body. And then we're just going to do a gentle back bend. So we're going to start off by just coming onto our elbows. If that's too much for your spine, then you can have the arms a little bit further forward. Make sure the eyes are looking in front so we're not dropping ahead. Think about the shoulder blades melting away from the ears and the spine. Just take another couple of breaths here. Then we lower towards the floor, place the hands underneath the armpits, push back up into downward dog. Couple of breaths here. Really allowing the body to lengthen. Feel you're pushing the chest towards the thighs, giving the head a little shake. And then breathing in, looking towards the front of the mat, stepping the feet to the front. Let's dangle again. Knees are bent, belly to thighs. Holding onto the elbows, just letting all that tension gently coming out of the body. Couple more breaths here. Releasing the arms down, slowly restacking the spine, vertebra by vertebra. Reaching up, interlocking the fingers. Leaning over to the right, taking the left leg behind, so we're getting that lovely side stretch. Coming back to centre, leaning over to the left, taking the right leg behind, getting that lovely side stretch. Coming back to centre, releasing the arms down. We're going to do one more. So we breathe in, reach up, look up at the hands. Breathing out, hinging forward, eyes look up at the belly button. Breathe in, come up onto the fingertips, lengthen the spine. Breathing out, stepping to the back of the mat. Let's find this high plank position again. Feel the strength in that centre, pushing through the heels, crown of the head lengthening away from you, shoulders coming away from the ears. And then again, we're dropping onto the knees, elbows stay glued to the side of the body as we lower down. And then either we come up with the elbows underneath, or we want to go a little bit further to start to release the spine a little bit more, open it up. Then we breathe out, release down, hands under the armpits, push back up into downward dog. And then we're going to come into what's called three-legged dog. So we keep the left foot on the back of the mat and we raise the right leg. And then what we're going to do today is we're going to try to kick the bottom. So we want the hip lifted high, so you should feel a bit of a release, maybe in the front of the hip, up in the thigh. Still keeping the head pushing through the arms towards the knee. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we're going to come into a swan pose. So we're going to bring this right leg through, so the toes on the left side of the mat, knees on the right side of the mat. Lengthen that left leg away, and we're just going to stay up here in our hands. So we want to feel the release into our right hip, into our right glute. When this gets tight, it can cause so many problems with the lower back, with the knees, with the hips. So it's really important we just relax into it. And then we can always come down onto our elbows if we want to increase the stretch a little bit more. We're just going to take a couple of breaths here. And then if you are on your elbows, come back up onto your hands. Feel that you're pushing this right hip towards the ground. And then we are going to place the right hip on the ground. The left leg comes all the way round and over. And then we place the right hand on the outside of the left knee, left hand behind. So it gets a little bit like Twister. You need to have some coloured dots on the mats. So looking over our left shoulder. And try to keep this left hip towards the ground if you can, to really allow the hips to open. And getting some lovely rotation in the spine. We're going to take a couple of breaths here. Then we're going to allow this left leg to go to the back of the mat. Sorry, left leg. Come back up into downward dog. And then the right leg stays on the ground. We're going to raise the left leg, try to keep the bottom, open that hip. Take a couple of breaths here. And then place the left hip on the ground, left foot, on the ground, so the toes on the right side of the mat, knees on the left side of the mat. We're lengthening the right leg away, letting the right hip drop towards the ground. Feeling the release into the left hip, staying on our hands. Taking a couple of breaths here. And then we can come down onto our elbows. Couple more breaths here. Then coming back up onto our hands. Let's put the left hip onto the ground. The right leg comes all the way round, over that left knee. The left elbow pulls it in, right hand behind the back to support us, keep us upright. Let us look behind so we can get some rotation, get some release on the outside of the hips. Couple more breaths here. then releasing to sitting. So we're then going to cross the legs. I'm just going to fold forward. So you should feel a bit of a release on the outside of the hips. We're just allowing the spine to lengthen. And just let go of the head. We're not trying to reach. So you might just be here. It depends on how your hips and lower back are. You might be a lot lower down. But just breathe while we're here. Allow the hips to open. Taking a couple more breaths. Then we breathe out and release. Swap sides. So we cross the legs the other way, which can feel a little bit like someone's giving you someone else's legs. And then we fold forward on this side. Taking a couple of breaths here to allow this side to open. Then we're going to release. Come to lie down on our back. Hug the knees for a moment. Putting the knees into the chest as much as we can. So we're just going to finally release that lower back. And then we're going to extend the legs away, just go into a very short Shavasana. Heels mat width apart, toes rolling outwards, arms by the side of the body, palms face up. We're just going to stay here for literally a couple of minutes, just to allow the body to absorb what's happened. Relaxing into the mat. Allowing all the tension to melt and drift away. And then let's take the arms away behind the head. Have a big stretch. Bringing the knees back up over the chest as we hug them. Rolling gently onto your right side. And then keeping the eyes closed, coming up to a nice comfortable seated position. Taking a few moments to notice how the mind and the body's feeling. Notice how it feels just from that short little practice. That little bit of you time on the mat. Just allowing you to be quiet, to move the body gently and to breathe. And then bringing the hands together in front of the heart centre. Rubbing the palms together, placing the palms over the eyes, gently opening the eyes, and slowly bringing the hands back down to the heart centre. And just take a moment to think how we can take those feelings of peacefulness and tranquility with you for the rest of the day. Namaste. Thank you guys, I hope you all enjoyed that practice. Feel free to leave me comments.